Guys, welcome back to Dr. Anil Walks. So guys, as you all know that we have also started with Robin's pathology series. So in that we have done around about ARDS, aortic disease, and the non pathophysiological anatomy, physiological anatomy of the lungs. Okay, so after that, this is chapter 13, Robin's pathology, 10th edition. Okay, so now we will be starting with obstructive versus restrictive pulmonary diseases. For those who have joined newly to our channel, so please guys, see our earlier videos, so that you will be in continuity, you will come in continuity. And we have also started many lectures on physiology also. So for physiology we are using Guyton textbook, so that we are using only a standard textbook, standard international edition only. Okay, so our motto is to finish all the standard medical textbook as soon as possible. For that I'm doing all these things. Okay, so I hope this will help you. I'm also regularly listening this, so this is helping me, I know. Okay, so let's start without wasting any time. Okay, so obstructive versus restrictive pulmonary diseases. Diffuse pulmonary diseases can be classified into two categories. Okay, one is obstructive and second one is restrictive. So obstructive disease means obstructive airway disease is characterized by the increase in resistance of airflow caused by partial or complete obstruction at any level. Okay, and restrictive disease is what? It is characterized by reduced expansion of lung parenchyma and decrease the total lung capacity. Of course, we all know that when lung will not able to expand at its full extent, so the lung capacity will get decrease. Okay, so that is the pathology happening in restrictive diseases. Okay, so the major diffuse obstructive disorders are what? Emphysema is there, chronic bronchitis is there, bronchiectasis is there, and asthma is there. Okay, so in patients with these diseases, the force vital capacity, okay, what happen in this? The force vital capacity is either normal or slightly decreased. Force vital capacity is what? When we, while the expiratory flow rate usually measure as the force expiratory volumeter 1 second. Okay, so we denote it as a FEV1 is significantly decreased. Okay, so force vital capacity is what? When we inhale the air. Okay, thus the ratio of the FEV to FVC is characteristically decreased. So of course we know that FVC is normal, but if EV is decreased, so the ratio is going to be decreased. Okay, so remember one thing, that in obstructive pathology there is decrease in ratio. Okay, the ratio get decreased of FEV to FEC. Now the expiratory obstruction may result from the anatomic airway narrowing, classically observed in asthma, or from loss of elastic recoil characteristic, emphysema, etc. Okay, so but in contrast, when we see the restrictive diseases, in that the force vital capacity is reduced. Okay, remember one thing, that what we just talked about, force vital capacity was a normal in obstructive, but in restrictive force vital capacity is reduced, but the expiratory flow rate is normal or reduced proportionately. Means proportionately reduced means as it is reduced, as FVC is reduced, so it is also in same extent it is FE FEV1 also get reduced. Okay, so the restrictive defects of occurs in two conditions. Before that, remember one thing, that the ratio will be near normal only. Okay, but in obstructive this ratio is or decrease. Okay, now the restrictive defects occurs in two general conditions. First one is the chest wall disorders in presence of normal lungs, for example with a severe obesity, diseases of the pleura, and neuromuscular disorders such as the Guillain-Barré syndrome, which we will be seeing in chapter 22, which affects the respiratory muscles. Okay, Guillain-Barré syndrome, what it will do, Guillain-Barré syndrome will affect the respiratory muscles. Okay, so and now second is the acute or chronic interstitial lung diseases. Okay, there are two. One is chest wall disorder is there. In chest wall disorder we see the Guillain-Barré syndrome, and in second is acute interstitial diseases. In acute interstitial diseases there are and that involves the ARDS. Okay, so chronic restrictive disease discussed later. Pneumococcus, interstitial fibrosis of unknown etiology, infiltrated conditions such as the sarcoidosis. Now we will see the obstructive. Very firstly we will see the obstructive lung airway diseases. Okay, and restrictive we will see after that. So in their prototypical forms, the four disorder in this group, four disorders are there. One, which is what are they? Emphysema, chronic bronchitis, asthma, and bronchiectasis. Okay, these have a distinct clinical and anatomical characteristics, which we will be seeing in the table 13.1. But overlaps between the emphysema, chronic bronchitis, and asthma are common. Okay, there are overlaps between emphysema, chronic bronchitis, and asthma. Okay, so we know that overlaps is what means the many symptoms, many pathological conditions, what happens in that may overlap each other. Okay, so it should be noted that the emphysema is defined as the basis of morphologic and the radiologic feature, whereas the chronic bronchitis is defined on the basis of clinical features. Okay, understood? Emphysema is defined on the basis of morphologic and radiologic feature, but chronic bronchitis is defined on the basis of clinical features. Okay. The anatomic distribution of these disorders also is somewhat different, as the chronic bronchitis initially involves the large airways, whereas the emphysema affects the acini. Okay, one difference we know that in emphysema acini are affected, but and in chronic uh, bronchitis large airways are get affected initially. Okay, but in severe or advanced case of both the small airways, in cases of both small airways is also present. Okay, initially, chronic bronchitis involves large airways, but in severe chronic bronchiolitis, small airways are also present. So that's why we have another type of small airway diseases. Small airway disease, we what we call it chronic bronchiolitis, but in other large airways, where we call chronic bronchitis. Okay, so just to remember, just carefully listen the term chronic bronchitis, and for when we see the small airways involved, then we call it as a chronic bronchiolitis. Okay, although emphysema may exist without chronic bronchitis. Okay, means what we mean by this, emphysema can be present without chronic bronchitis. Okay, so particularly in inherited alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency, alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency. Okay, when it is involved, so chronic bronchitis is not there. So the two diseases usually coexist. So this is almost certainly because cigarette smoking is major underlying cause of the both. In view of their propensity to coexist, the emphysema and the chronic bronchitis often are grouped together under a rubric of chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. When we call a chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, so we should the one this thing should be in our mind, that there is a involvement of chronic bronchitis and the emphysema. Okay, so this is the vague term. Okay, so the COPD affects more than 10% of a US adult population and is the fourth leading cause of the death in this country. The largely irreversible airflow obstruction of a COPD distinguishes it from the asthma, which, as discussed later, it's characterized by reversible airflow obstruction. So as we all know that the asthma is of two types, means reversible and the irreversible. So it has the reversible airflow obstruction also. Emphysema. Emphysema is characterized by, now we will only see the emphysema. Emphysema is characterized by permanent enlargement. It is not the reversible. Okay, so remember guys, this is not reversible. It is irreversible permanent enlargement of air spaces distal to the terminal bronchiole. Okay, what are all the terminal bronchioles? Everything we have studied in last video. So just please go and listen to that. Accompanied by the destruction of their walls without significant fibrosis. Again, I'm telling you the definition of emphysema. Emphysema is characterized by permanent enlargement of air spaces distal to the terminal bronchioles, accompanied by destruction of their walls without significant fibrosis. Okay, it is classified according to its anatomic distribution. Anatomically, we can classify it. Okay, as discussed earlier, the acinus is the structure distal to the terminal bronchiole. Okay, टर्मिनल ब्रोंकियोल के बाद क्या आ जाएगा, एसिनस आ जाएगा. ठीक है, द क्लस्टर ऑफ देर आर 3 to 5 एसिनाई आर देर. ओके, when 3 to 5 acini are collectively, we call it as a lobule. Okay, what is lobule? Lobule is nothing but the 3 to 5 collection of a 3 to 5 acini. Okay, or cluster. So there are 4 major types of emphysema. uh, as what type means anatomically, means which acini is affected. On that basis, there are 4 types of emphysema. One, centriacinar acina emphysema, centriacinar. Second is panacinar emphysema. Third is distal acinar emphysema. And fourth is irregular emphysema. So only the first two, means centriacinar acinar emphysema and the panacinar emphysema, only these two are significant, cause the significant area obstruction. Okay, the remaining two are cannot, don't form a significant obstruction. With centriacinar emphysema, emphysema is common. Okay, 20 times more common than the panacinar acina. Means very common is what? Centriacinar acina. Okay, acinar emphysema. Centriacinar emphysema also can be called as a centrilobular emphysema. Okay guys, so what is centriacinar emphysema? The distinctive feature of centriacinar emphysema is that the central or proximal part of an acini formed by the respiratory bronchiole, okay, are affected, while the distal alveoli are spared. Means distal alveoli are not getting affected, only the central acini get affected. Again, I'm telling you that what is centriacinar acina. It is the destructive feature, it is the distinctive features of centriacinar emphysema is that the central or the proximal part of acini, okay, which are formed by respiratory bronchiole, get affected, not the distal alveoli. Understood? Okay, thus thus what is present here, emphysema and the normal acinus also present, means emphysematous acini and the normal air spaces also present in one condition only. Okay, so they coexistly exist. Okay, you can see this in figure 13.5b. So the lesions are more common and severe in the upper lobe, particularly in the apical segment. In the severe centriacinar emphysema, the distal acinus also become involved. So लेकिन जब सीवियरिटी आ जाती है तब डिस्टल वाला भी इन्वॉल्व हो जाता है उसमें. ओके, एंड दस ये डिफरेंशिएशन पैनेसिनार से हमको डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है. पैनेसिनार मीन्स व्हाट? होल acini are get involved. Okay, means whole lobe gets involved. Okay, so this type of emphysema is the most common in the cigarette smoker, often in the association with a chronic bronchitis. So chronic bronchitis is also, we know that when chronic bronchitis is involved and emphysema is also there, we term it as a COPD. Now panacinar emphysema. Panacinar emphysema we call it as panlobular emphysema also. In pan-acinar emphysema, the acini are uniformly enlarged from the level of respiratory bronchiole to the terminal blind alveoli. Okay. In the contrast to centriacinar emphysema, the pan-acinar emphysema occurs more commonly in the lower lung zones and is associated with alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Make sure that or keep in mind that the pan-acinar emphysema is also associated with the alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Okay, centriacinar emphysema, pan-emphysema occurs more commonly in the lower zone. Okay, and centriacinar emphysema occurs in apical zones. Okay, and pan-acinar emphysema is associated with the alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Now, distal acinar emphysema or paraseptal emphysema. In this form of emphysema, the proximal portion of acinus is normal, but the distal part is primarily involved. The emphysema is more striking adjacent to the pleura along the lobular connective tissue septa. Okay, what is distal? It means paraseptal emphysema. In this form of emphysema, the proximal portion of acinus is involved. In pan-acinar, proximal and the distal all. In here, only proximal portion of acinus is normal, but the distal part is primarily involved. Understood? In what is in centriacinar? In centriacinar, proximal is involved. In distal acinar, proximal is normal, but distal one is abnormal. Okay, so the emphysema is more striking adjacent to the pleura along the lobular connective tissue septa at the margin of lobules. So it occurs adjacent to the areas of fibrosis, scarring, or atelectasis, and is usually more severe in the upper half of the lungs. Okay, what is the location of distal acinar emphysema? It involves, means it usually occurs at upper half of the lungs. So the characteristic finding is the presence of multiple contiguous enlarged air spaces ranging in the diameter from less than 0.5 mm to more than 2.0 centimeter, sometimes forming cystic structure that with the progressive enlargement give rise to bullae. Okay, so what is there? The characteristic finding is what? Multiple contiguous and enlarged air spaces are there जिसकी diameter less than 0.5 mm to more than 2 centimeter तक होती है. सो समटाइम्स वहाँ पर क्या क्या फॉर्म हो जाता है? सिस्टिक स्ट्रक्चर फॉर्म्स हो जाते हैं. वो सिस्टिक स्ट्रक्चर प्रोग्रेसिवली एनलार्ज हो जाते हैं और वो गिव राइज क्या बनाते हैं? फिर बुलेट. सो द कॉज ऑफ दिस टाइप ऑफ एम्फाइसीमा इज अननोन. सो अपने को कॉज नहीं पता, लेकिन it comes to the attention most often in the young adults who presents with the spontaneous pneumothorax. In that patient, this type of emphysema occurs. Okay, so now we will see the irregular emphysema. Irregular emphysema, so name means इसको इस बार इस वजह से नाम दिया है because the acinus is irregularly involved and is almost invariably associated with the scarring, such that the resulting from the heel inflammatory diseases. Although the clinically asymptomatic, and this may be the most common form of emphysema. Maybe, okay, because asymptomatic is there. Now we will see the pathogenesis of emphysema. When the cigarette gets inhaled, means inhaled cigarette smoke or another noxious particle causes the lung damages and inflammation occurs. So which particularly in patients with the genetic predisposition result in parenchymal destruction. Okay, so parenchymal destruction is there, and airway disease occurs. Means when there is parenchymal destruction means emphysema and the airway disease like a chronic bronchitis or bronchiolitis is there. So factor that influence the development of emphysema includes the following. What are all the factors which influence the development? Okay, first one is the inflammatory cell and mediators which influence the development. What are all the inflammatory mediators are there? A wide variety of inflammatory mediators increase have been shown to increase that attract more inflammatory cell. Okay, means वाइड वैरायटी ऑफ इन्फ्लेमेटरी mediators जो है वो इस कंडीशन को इंक्रीज कर देंगे. तो उसके अंदर कौन कौन से आते हैं इन्फ्लेमेटरी mediators? ल्यूकोट्राइन, ओके, B4, interleukin 8, TNF means tumor necrosis factor, and others. All these are okay. So these are इनका काम क्या है? ये inflammatory cells जो होते हैं अट्रैक्ट्स मोर इन्फ्लेमेटरी सेल्स फ्रॉम द सर्कुलेशन में. सर्कुलेशन के अंदर जो इन्फ्लेमेटरी सेल्स होते हैं उनको अट्रैक्ट करते हैं. ठीक है, तो ये कंडीशन को, ये प्रोसेस को क्या बोलेंगे? केमोटैक्सिस. ओके, सो वो फिर क्या करेंगे? ये इन्फ्लेमेशन को एम्पलीफाई कर देंगे, मीन्स एम्पलीफाई द इन्फ्लेमेटरी प्रोसेसेस. सो दैट्स व्हाई इट इज कॉल्ड एज अ प्रो इन्फ्लेमेटरी साइटोकाइन्स. ओके, एंड इंड्यूस द स्ट्रक्चरल चेंजेस इंड्यूस करेंगे. मतलब क्या होगा? वहाँ का ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स बढ़ जाएगा, ग्रोथ फैक्टर्स आ जाएंगे. So the inflammatory cells presents in the lesion includes neutrophils, macrophages, CD4 plus and CD8 plus T cells. Okay, so all these are present in the lesion. So it is not known if the T cells are specific for the particular antigen or are recruited as a part of inflammation. Means here you have to understood one thing, that it is not clear that why there is a T cell. Okay, so T cell is for the antigen or for any particular reason, or it is recruited for the inflammation only. Okay, but it is present in that one. Now the protease anti-protease imbalance. Okay, what is protease anti-protease imbalance? अगर protease anti-protease का imbalance होगा, means several proteases are releases from the inflammatory cells and the epithelial cells. Okay, epithelial cells and the inflammatory cells से protease enzyme release होगा, जो क्या करेगा? connective tissue को break करेगा, which will break down the connective tissues. So in this patient who develop the emphysema, there is a relative deficiency of a protective anti-protease. Okay, so anti-protease की deficiency हो जाएगी इसमें. Okay, now oxidative stress. In oxidative stress, there is a reactive oxygen species, ROS, okay, are generated by cigarette smoke. ROS is generated by cigarette smoking, and other inhaled particles are released from the activated inflammatory cells such as the macrophages and the neutrophils. So these causes additional tissue damage and inflammation. Now airway infection. So airway infection not is not thought to play a major role in initiating the tissue destruction, but it aggravates the condition. Okay, so bacterial or viral infection causes acute exacerbation. Okay, the symptoms get aggravated because of this. So the idea that whenever we see the acute exacerbation, so make sure that there may be a presence of infections. Okay, so the idea that proteases are important is based in the part on the observation that the patients with genetic deficiency of anti-protease alpha 1 antitrypsin have a predisposition to develop pulmonary emphysema, which is compounded by smoking. Okay, so जिनके अंदर ये इस एंजाइम की डिफिशियंसी होती है वो ज़्यादा prone होता है to develop pulmonary emphysema. About 1% of all patients with emphysema have this defect. 1%, जितने भी emphysema का पेशेंट है उसके अंदर का 1% अगर देखा जाए तो उसके अंदर अल्फा 1 एंटीट्रिप्सिन एंजाइम्स की डिफिशियंसी होगी. Normally the present in serum, normally where it is present in the serum, it is present in the tissue fluids, it is present in the macrophages, and is a major inhibitor of protease. Okay, which is secreted by the neutrophils during inflammation. So alpha 1 antitrypsin is encoded by the gene in the protease inhibitor. Okay, it is encoded by which gene? Protease inhibitor, means PI. Okay, so where it is located? It is located on the chromosome number 14. Okay, so the locus of this gene is chromosome 14. So the PI locus is polymorphic and approximately 0.12% of the US population is homozygous for the Z allele, and genotype that is associated with a markedly decreased serum level of alpha 1 antitrypsin. More than 80% of these individuals develop symptomatic pan-acinar emphysema, which occurs at an earlier which occurs at an earlier age and is of a greater severity if the individual smokes. Protease mediated damage of the extracellular matrix has a central role in the airway obstruction seen in emphysema. Small airway are normally held open by elastic recoil of a lung parenchyma, and the loss of elastic tissue in the wall of alveoli that surrounded respiratory bronchioles reduces radial traction and thus causes the respiratory bronchiole to collapse during expiration. This leads to the functional airflow obstruction despite the absence of mechanical obstruction. Now we will see what are the morphological findings in emphysema. The diagnosis and the classification of emphysema depend largely on the macroscopic appearance of lung. So typical pan-acinar emphysema produces pale, voluminous lungs that often obscure the heart when the anterior chest wall is removed at an autopsy. Okay, जब autopsy होती है मतलब पोस्टमार्टम होता है उस समय देखते हैं जो एंटीरियर चेस्ट वॉल जब रिमूव कर देंगे तब हमको पता चलेगा कि ये जो लंग है वो हार्ट को कवर कर चुका है बिट नॉर्मल से ज़्यादा. ठीक है, सो वॉल्यूमस लंग्स क्या हो जाएगा? वॉल्यूमिनस हो जाएगा. The macroscopic feature of the centriacinar emphysema are less impressive. Until late stages, the lungs are deeper pink than in the pan-acinar emphysema. डीपर पिंक हो जाएगा. डीपली अगर पिंक हो जाएगा तो ये सेंट्रियासिनार एसिना हो जाएगा. अगर ये पैन-एसिनार एम्फिसेमा हो जाएगा तो ज़्यादा हो जाएगा ना पिंक. So the less voluminous and centriacinar eosinophil is less voluminous, and the upper two-thirds of the lungs are more severely affected than the lower lungs. Upper two-thirds gets more affected in centriacinar. Okay, histologic examination reveals the destruction of alveolar walls without fibrosis, leading to the enlarged air spaces. In addition to alveolar loss, the number of alveolar capillaries is diminished. Okay, the terminal and the respiratory bronchioles may be deformed because of the loss of septa. Tether these structures in the parenchyma with the loss of elastic tissue in the surrounding alveolar septa, radial traction on the small airways is reduced. As a result, they tend to collapse during expiration. An important cause of chronic airflow obstruction in the severe emphysema, bronchiolar inflammation and the submucosal fibrosis are consistently present in the advanced diseases. Now we will be looking for the clinical features. Okay, what are all the clinical? Very firstly, dyspnea usually is the first symptoms. So it begins insidiously but is steadily progressive. In patients with underlying chronic bronchitis or the chronic asthmatic bronchitis, cough and wheezing may be initial complaints. Weight loss is a common and may be severe enough to suggest an occult malignant tumor. Okay, सीवियर वेट लॉस भी हो सकता है. इसके वजह से हम कंफ्यूज हो सकते हैं क्योंकि ये मैलिग्नेंट है क्या या फिर कैंसर इन्वॉल्व में है या ऐसा इस तरीके से. Pulmonary function tests reveal reduced FEV, means forced expiratory volume at 1 second, with a normal or near normal FVC. Hence, the FEV1 to the FVC ratio is reduced. The classic presentation of emphysema with no bronchitic component is one in which the patient is barrel chest and dyspneic and obviously prolonged expiration sitting forward in the hunched over position. In this patient, the air spaces enlargement is severe and is low. Diffusion capacity is low. Okay. So dyspnea and the hyperventilation are prominent, so that until very late in the disease, gas exchange is adequate and blood gas values are relatively normal. Because of prominent dyspnea, the adequate oxygenation of hemoglobin, these patients sometimes are called pink buffers. Adequate oxygenation of hemoglobin, these patients sometimes are called as a pink buffers. इनको पिंक बफर बोलते हैं, ठीक है. At the other end, the clinical spectrum is a patient with emphysema who also has pronounced chronic bronchitis and a history of a recurrent infection. Dyspnea usually is a less prominent, and in the absence of increased respiratory drive, the patient retains carbon dioxide, becoming hypoxic and often cyanotic. For unclear reasons, such patients tend to be the obese, hence the designation of a blue blotters. In most patients with a COPD, the symptoms fall in between these two extremes. Hypoxia-induced pulmonary vascular spasm and loss of pulmonary capillary surface area from the alveolar destruction causes the gradual development of secondary pulmonary hypertension, which in 20% to 30% of the patient leads to a right-sided congestive heart failure or cor pulmonale can be seen. So death from the emphysema is related to either respiratory failure or right-sided heart failure. Now we will see the conditions related to the emphysema. Several conditions involving abnormal air spaces or accumulations of air within the lungs or other tissue also are recognized. Compensatory emphysema describes the dilatation of residual alveoli in response to loss of lungs substance elsewhere, which as occurs such as occurs after surgical removal of the diseased lungs or lung. Obstructive overinflation refers to the expansion of lung due to air trapping. A common cause is a subtotal obstruction of airway by a tumor or foreign object. Obstructive overinflation can be life-threatening if the expansion of affected portion produces compression of remaining normal lung. Bullous emphysema refers to any form of emphysema that produces large subpleural blebs or bullae spaces more than 1 centimeter in diameter in distended state. 13.8 फिगर देखो जस्ट ऊपर है, उसके अंदर आपको subpleural bulla दिख जाएगा. Such blebs represent localized accentuation of one of the four forms of emphysema. Most often, the blebs are subpleural and on occasion they may rupture, leading to the pneumothorax. Mediastinal emphysema or interstitial emphysema is caused by entry of air into interstitium of lungs, from where it may track to the mediastinum and sometimes the subcutaneous tissue. It may occur spontaneously if sudden increase in the intraalveolar pressure, as with vomiting or violent coughing, produces the alveolar rupture, which allows air to dissect into the interstitium. Sometimes it develops in children with a whooping cough. It may also occur in patients on respirators who have partial bronchiolar obstruction, or in individuals with a perforating injury, for example, fractured ribs. When the interstitial air gets into the subcutaneous tissue, the patients may literally blow up like a balloon with a marked swelling of the head and neck, the crackling crepitation over the chest or the subcutaneous emphysema. In most instances, the air is resorbed spontaneously after the site of entry seal. Now we will see the summary of emphysema. Emphysema is a chronic obstructive airway disease characterized by the enlargement of air spaces distal to terminal bronchiole Subtypes includes centriacinar, most common smoking related, panacinar, which we see the alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency, and distal acinar and the irregular. All these are the types. Smoking and inhaled pollutants cause ongoing accumulation of inflammatory cells, which are source of proteases such as elastases that irreversibly damage alveolar walls. Patients with uncomplicated emphysema presents with increased chest volume, dyspnea, and relatively normal blood oxygenation at rest. So that's why we called them as pink buffer. Most patients with emphysema also have signs and symptoms of concurrent chronic bronchitis, since cigarette smoking is a risk factor for both. Okay guys, so for today we will be looking in the for emphysema only. In next video we will look for what is chronic bronchitis and all, okay, and other diseases also. So guys, just listen to me, as when we listen one song repeatedly, even we don't want to by heart that, but when we listen in iPod, AirPod or iPad or everything or anywhere, when but we listen it again and again, and that song get, we by heart that song or we remember that song very easily without knowing or without effort. So this is what I'm thinking, that when we listen to this video again and again, doing when we are doing anything, means like walking, like doing any other work or everything, so that time we can use that time also to learn our basic medical books. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking, and the revision also gets, and if each and every lines we will remember अगर हम इस तरीके से करेंगे. Okay guys, so this is what I believe. I'm also doing this, so I think you all can do. So this is Dr. Anil from Dr. Anil Walks signing off. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep supporting, keep share. So do share, because sharing is caring. So what you can share is, you can share your knowledge, share this video to your colleagues also. Thank you. Good day.